The big focus that we have for you this morning is what's happening within the Congress party ever since the results of Bihar election have come out. Congress party has lost more ground as far as elections are concerned. They've lost big in Bihar, we all know that, and and made barely any gains as far as the by-polls in other states are concerned as well. And it seems that finally they've seen the writing on the wall, or at least some of them have, if not the party high command. Congress's General Secretary in charge and Bihar Election Committee member concedes that it is the Congress party actually that was responsible for Mahagathbandhan's defeat in the Bihar elections. And he also says that MIM's entry into Bihar is not really a good sign for the Congress party.
जिस तरह का परिणाम आया, जो महागठबंधन की दूसरी पार्टियां थी, चाहे वो आरजेडी हो, लेफ्ट हो, उनका परफॉर्मेंस हमसे कहीं बेहतर है। और यही बात हमने स्वीकार किया है कि अगर हमारा परफॉर्मेंस भी उन्हीं की तरह होता तो आज ये महागठबंधन की सरकार बिहार में होती, और लोग यही चाहते थे। बिहार की जनता एक तरह से अपना मन बना चुकी थी परिवर्तन के लिए, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं हम लोगों से चूक हुई।
देखिए, कहाँ पर कमजोरी रही, क्या कारण रहे, कहाँ लैप्स हुई, ये तो समीक्षा करने के बाद ही पता लगेगा। बहुत से फैक्टर हैं, कोई एक फैक्टर नहीं कहा जा सकता। लेकिन जब वहाँ के लोग खुद बिहार से जो ताल्लुक़ रखते हैं, तो बिहार के चुनाव को ओवरसी कर रहे थे, उसका प्रोविज़न कर रहे थे, वो मिल बैठ के उसका चिंतन करेंगे, देखेंगे, उसकी समीक्षा करेंगे, और उसी के बाद कारण के बारे में बताया जाएगा।
Prashant, my colleague, is now joining us on the broadcast more on this. Prashant, now somebody who saw what happened in Bihar elections, who was probably there on the ground, has accepted that yes, it was Congress party that pulled down the overall tally of Mahagathbandhan in Bihar. But what about the party high command? We haven't really heard anything from the party high command ever since Congress party's terrible defeat in Bihar elections.
Hina, we need to break it down in two simple parts. A, any party cannot win any election in the state like Bihar by para-dropping leaders from Delhi. Now, till about 1 month back from the first phase of polling, Congress really didn't have any plans. It really didn't have any leader. And that's the reason perhaps why you had to para-drop leaders from Delhi. Those leaders who did not have any idea of how a state like Bihar functions. Someone was from Haryana, someone was from Delhi. So that was the case like. And Mr. Tariq Anwar, who happens to be a leader from Bihar, the entire election spree, not even a single reporter spotted him on field anywhere across Bihar. All the Congress leaders, all what they were worried for was to pull crowds for Rahul Gandhi's rallies and nothing else. Now, if you talk about the state president, Mr. Madan Mohan Jha here, he happens to hail from Mithilanchal, he happens to hail from Darbhanga. Till about second phase of polling, he was busy in his own election of MLC, and he did not go or tour any district in favor of Congress leadership. And that's the reason perhaps why a seat as important as Jale, a certain someone was given a seat, and many Congress insiders believe that perhaps it's one decision of the Congress party that polarized the entire Mithilanchal, and even the forward voters who were aiming to vote for the Mahagathbandhan, they ran away from the Mahagathbandhan because of the fact that a certain Usmani was fielded from Jale, and that has had impact on at least 9 other seats in the region. So clearly Mithilanchal has drowned Mahagathbandhan, and the credit of it is now being solely given to Madan Mohan Jha and the Congress leadership here. But the top leadership of the Congress, the high command, is absolutely silent because they do not have any answers as to why is it that despite losing in several elections, how is it that a party as big as Congress does not have any cadre in Bihar? Now, they have are para-dropped leaders here, and that's the reason for this decimation the Congress has faced. 27% of strike rate is what Congress all managed to do. Of 70 seats
which
they
was
contested.
the lowest, in fact, if you compare it to the regional parties as well of Bihar. Prashant, requesting you to stay on with us. Let me go across to Shehzad Poonawala as well for more on this. Shehzad, now, like every election result, after Bihar's result as well, we are seeing this chorus growing for introspection within the Congress party. But the point is, will the High Command understand and acknowledge these voices?
Hina, if past experience is anything to go by, the High Command has been insular to any voices of dissent or... Yeah, can you hear me, Hina?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. If you go by the past experiences, Hina, the Congress top leadership has been insular to any kind of voices of dissent or of reform within the party. You must be remembering that a large number of congressmen wrote a letter to the Congress president calling for internal reforms, calling for reforms within the CWC, even asking for internal elections to be held. Ghulam Nabi Azad and others also made that chorus. But the problem is the Congress party refuses to change, and the entire focus of the Congress party seems to be to defend the top leadership from any sort of criticism. And therefore you see that the kind of excuses that were being made after the Bihar defeat, they tried to blame the electoral process, they tried to blame the EVMs, Archana Dalmia tried to blame even the Bihari voters, but the attempt is to save the top leadership from any sort of criticism or accountability in election after election, and to keep the focus on other issues. And therefore I think this would be yet another exercise, because clearly the allies are feeling it. The allies feel that the Congress party is becoming a drag on them. The Prime Minister also alluded to the dynasty jibe and the lack of internal democracy in these parties, and he made that Kashmir to Kanyakumari family-run parties jibe, but I think it will have little or no impact on the Congress party and the way it functions.
But don't you think, election after election, same kind of result is there for the Congress party? Isn't it becoming a liability for its allies in different states? It happened in UP ke ladke failed completely. It happened in Tamil Nadu with DMK. It happened in West Bengal earlier, Telangana as well. And now the same thing has happened in Bihar. Who will like to partner with Congress party again if there are state elections?
Absolutely. This is a question that is being asked by the old allies of the Congress party, right from Uttar Pradesh, the Samajwadi party, whether it's the DMK, whether it's other allies. They are questioning whether the Congress party justifies the political space that it seeks to occupy. Sanjay Singh made a jibe on how they took 70 seats and they didn't deserve those 70 seats. Even the left parties have come out in criticism of that. Right. Perhaps in the keeping
Shahzad,
in mind.
I'm just interrupting you there. Please stay on with us. We have Amit Malviya of the BJP joining us on the broadcast as well. Amit Malviya, good morning. Thank you for speaking with us here on Times Now. What do you make of the lackadaisical approach probably that the Congress has now adopted? Okay, we'll try and go back to Amit Malviya in just a bit. Let's go back to Shahzad Poonawala. Shahzad, don't you think it's becoming like more of a lackadaisical approach that the Congress party has now adopted? Not going to the ground really, not developing the grassroots workers, suddenly landing at the big state where elections are going to happen, conduct a few rallies and expecting a miracle.
Absolutely. The Congress has lost touch with any sort of political reality on the ground. The Congress party today has become a party of 3 or 4 people and the coterie surrounding it, which they call the CWC. It is something that is so disconnected. They have a few people who are active on social media, and that basically feeds them the narrative, but that is not the narrative on the ground.
Shahzad, I'm just interrupting you once again. We have Amit Malviya of the BJP joining us now. Amit Malviya, good morning. Thank you for speaking with us here on Times Now. What do you make of these voices of dissent that have again started coming from within the Congress party? Do you think now there will be some introspection?
Well, I don't think there will be any introspection in the Congress party. They are wedded to the Nehru-Gandhi family, however debilitating they might be for the Congress. The fact remains that it is not the Congress that we know of or the Congress that was a platform for India's independence. This is a proprietary firm of the Nehru-Gandhi family, and only the courtiers survive. It's quite unfortunate that they also are part of our democratic process, because at the end of the day, they don't provide any alternative to the people of this country. There is no internal democracy within the party, and therefore there is no churning of new ideas or a fresh vision for the country or for the party for that matter. And if you have people like Rahul Gandhi who feel compelled to take vacation in between elections then you really know what is their commitment to the people who they claim to be wanting to serve. So there is a problem within the Congress party, but Congress party is unlikely to be able to resolve it because they have no vision for their own self or for the country for that matter.
Right. All right, Amit Malviya, appreciate you joining us and sharing with us your perspective. Shehzad as well as Prashant, thank you for your inputs as well. We will slip into a very short break. More news and updates lined up for you on the other side as well. Stay with us.